Hey, welcome to the Drum Circle Show. I am so excited to have our next guest. This business is unlike anything that you are probably thinking about, anything you've ever even heard about. I remember seeing it come across my timeline and thinking like, oh my God, this is such a standout business. And if you guys know me, that's one of the things that I really love just to see is people who are not playing in the lines, right? People who are doing things that are innovative, people who are doing things that are like remarkable and just new and fresh and full of ideas. So with no further ado, allow me to welcome our guest. And I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, her business, and of course, let us know how long she's been in business, when her business was established. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to you today.
Hi, I'm Chef Farrell, and thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited to be here. I am the owner and founder of the Marshmallow of the Month Club, where we curate chef-inspired, handcrafted artisan marshmallows and gourmet hot chocolate experiences. So I've been around since 2013. It's one of those decade-long stories where I started my business and thought I was ready for a brick and mortar, but undercapitalized. I opened it and closed it very quickly. And so I walked away from being an entrepreneur and started, in education. And I was a chef instructor for a few years, and part of my curriculum was teaching entrepreneurship. So I would help the students understand how to cost out a recipe, and then we would take it all the way to market and sell. And I still had that itch that I wanted to get back into business for myself. So I started the Marshmallow of the Month Club, which is the revival of what I called a some more survival kit when I did have my brick and mortar business. So going through subscription boxes and really understanding the nuances of it, I wanted to figure out how can I take a product, because as a pastry chef, I can bake whatever I want, but how can I take a product that's shippable and, has a shelf life to it and weighed less than a pound. And I created the Marshmallow of the Month Club, where every month you get a new flavored marshmallow that's made with fresh ingredients. And I use a fish gelatin instead of a pork gelatin. So for those who don't eat pork byproducts, could enjoy our marshmallows. And then it's paired with fresh baked graham crackers and chocolates for like a some more survival kit, right? And then I started working on our cocos. I wanted a hot chocolate that was just a clean hot chocolate, but it was also vegan and dairy free. So I didn't realize that there were more than just one cocoa out there, right? So you go to the grocery store and you just see Dutch cocoa. That's usually what you see. And I saw a chef on TV who was talking about there's 14 different cocos in their frozen hot chocolate. And I'm like, how's that even possible? So I started doing the research and I found 4 cocos and created this recipe, this blend, and put it with vegan sugar. And I created Joy Craft Cocoa. So within the Marshmallow of the Month Club, you get 1 pack of Joy Craft Cocoa. And then we're also selling that on Amazon right now.
Wow. Okay. So you touched on a couple of things that really stuck out to me. One is a lot of people have no idea the cost that is required for a brick and mortar setup. And that really hit home with me because my very first venture that I was starting, right, that still has not completely taken off, was Spits by Design. And that business, the premise of it was a brick and mortar concept whereby you could come into a building and there would be fashion designers, usually recent college graduates, that you could then pair with and have the garment that you so desired, your custom garment, created for you, right? And then the other half was going to be a fabric store. So then you'd be able to come in, pair with the garment, the designer, and get everything that you needed. And I remember pricing this stuff out, for the first time, looking at the square footage for commercial space or the fact that the leases were 5-year minimums, right? And then starting to really understand like coding and building, all of these different things that were just like enormous. And so I remember looking at that. And then eventually a friend of mine talked to me and had me pivot and think about doing this in the app version. And I just see it at the time because in my mind, I said, okay, this is clothing. You can't do everything app, right? Like you can't get your hair done app. And it took a little imagination for me to realize, okay, well, what if I were just to send the designers, right? I could create an app. And then when I look at the upside, I'd be like, wow, okay, we would have nationwide reach. And so looking at the pros and cons, I immediately pivoted out of that brick and mortar concept. And so you actually went forward, right? And opened up that brick and mortar concept because that's what we traditionally do and that's what we think. Right. And so how long was your brick and mortar open before you closed it?
So it was officially open for 6 months. So I had the building for 8 months, and thankfully I wasn't in a contract that was 5 years long, right? So they were willing to work with me as a small business. They understood small businesses. So I opened for 6 months, but between my money that I had budgeted for marketing, because if you don't market it, nobody knows that you're there, right? So the money I budgeted for marketing had to go towards all these expenses that were hidden. Because I budgeted everything out, but when I got, you know, I wanted an electric oven instead of a gas oven. And then I found out my electricity bill was $700 a month because the fan was always running, right? So this convection oven just started costing me way more money just to operate it than to have a gas oven. So that was like a mistake. And when the health department came in, they saw all these things that I needed to change. And I'm just like, a business that was there before me, and they didn't have to make all these upgrades, but now I had to make all the upgrades. So my marketing dollars were gone. And, you know, and 6 months in is when people started to come into the business, you know? So if I had another 6 months worth of capital, I'd still be there today. But it was at that 6 month mark, it was just like, I have no revenue coming in to sustain.
Right. Now, your location, was that a standalone sort of a location, or was that an area like a shopping center that had a lot of walk-through traffic?
Yeah, it was a shopping center, not a lot of walk-through traffic. At the time, it was a bakery, right? So the only other bakery option was across the street at the grocery store. So I did, you know, but they already had a reputation, right? So you go in for your groceries, you're going for your baked goods. So I had to build up my reputation for people to cross the street. So did they have all the parking? Like, these are all the things you have to think about, right? You might be in the right location, but they had the parking. I didn't have the parking, you know? I didn't have my sign up because my sign was part of my marketing. So, you know, it wasn't big and bold like theirs for you to come to my establishment. So there was definitely a lot to learn. Would I ever do it again? Probably not, because it's just less expensive to have an e-commerce brand at this point.
Right. So here's a gem dropping moment for you guys. She spoke about walkthrough. We're talking about walkthrough traffic, right? So for most of you guys who don't know, before you open up a brick and mortar, there are a lot of research elements that go into that, right? So if you've ever seen those cool little yellow triangular devices out, they're measuring the walkthrough traffic. They actually post those up for days, weeks, sometimes on average, so that they can assess how many cars are driving through and how many people are walking through an area. These surveys are very, very expensive. They also poll for the demographics to see if that neighborhood needs and could sustain that particular type of business. Again, this is a very, very expensive part of the research and development before you open up a brick and mortar. Now, here's a cheat code that you guys have noticed, but probably have not really understood. If you notice, almost everywhere you look, you'll see a Rite Aid, and then you'll see a Walgreens pop up. And you're probably wondering why. It would seem like, okay, why would you go into an area where it's already been serviced by the same exact business? Well, what Walgreens realizes is that Rite Aid has already paid for all of the research for this. So they know that this area can actually sustain a pharmacy. So what Walgreens does is they benefit off of Rite Aid's investment. So they're going to move into that area, and then they're going to increase their competition. How? By offering better services, by offering lower prices. So they're going to now attract all of Rite Aid's competition. So you'll notice, and I want you guys to now pay attention, how many times do you see one gas station, another gas station? One fast food chain, another fast food chain, all within the same four corners of an area. And that's why. So there's a jewel dropped on you for that. So is it a risk? Of course it is, because that business could have created a loyal following who may not want to deal with your business. So it's a risk, but typically it pays off. So either you get their traffic or sometimes you just get the residual traffic. So thank you so much for allowing that opportunity to drop a gem. So now I want to get into what your, in my opinion, is extraordinary differentiator. So I'm scrolling my timeline, right? And I'm like, Marshmallow of the Month. This is something one I haven't seen. This is something that we typically don't see, a Marshmallow of the Month club. And I also want to give you a special recognition for realizing how the shipping costs impact subscription-based businesses. And I love that you said it's a marshmallow. It hardly weighs anything, right? And use that as a differentiator. But what made you, besides, you know, being a chef, say Marshmallow of the Month club, let me try this?
Yeah, I mean, it really started with a call to action. We had a local event here. So August 10th is one of those national food days, right? All these food days that they create, and it's National S'more Day. So we had an event that was looking for someone to make s'mores. And I was already in, you know, trying to start my business. And I said, I know how to make marshmallows. And so I said, you know, let me start making marshmallows for this. So I signed on and I said, I can absolutely do s'mores for this day. So it was at, like, you know, local markets, and I would have the marshmallows out there for the local markets. And I wanted to do more than just a vanilla marshmallow. So here in Cleveland, they love their beers. And, you know, so I started doing like beer marshmallows. So they were flavored with beer, and people would just taste test them, right? So like this little bitty marshmallow, they were willing to pay a premium price just to taste test that. So it went from people, you know, interested in these different flavored marshmallows. And then I started pairing it with the graham crackers to make s'mores. And when I came back to the business, like I said, I wanted to make sure that it was a product that I could ship less than a pound. And I am in the world of subscriptions, and I talk to a lot of different subscription box owners, and I always lead with that. Like, because if it's more than a pound, you're going to have to like give that cost to your customer, right? So then with that cost, if you want to offer free shipping, because we're in this world where people are expecting free shipping, right? So if you're going to offer free shipping, you're going to try to put that shipping cost into your product and say it's free shipping. But then the perceived value has to be that this is worth $33. If you know what I mean? Like, you can't have this $100 subscription box and then tell someone you got to pay $20 for me to ship it to you. So how do you make sure that you have a product that ships for free and has the perceived value of what you're charging for it?
That's absolutely brilliant, because what I love from this, you allow the audience to inform, right? What we know is fundamentally is that businesses, regardless of what you're doing, you're solving a problem. Now, that problem can appear trivial. That problem can be very urgent and very serious. But at the end of the day, you are providing a need or a want for a consumer. And I love how you allow that taste testing process to inform to you that, wait, I have something here. Because a lot of times as business owners, especially when we're doing something innovative, in our mind, it makes all the sense in the world, right? As we're exploring it with ourselves and our friends and our family, we're like, oh, this is going to be amazing. They're going to love it. And then we launch that onto the world with no market research. And then it's crickets. And we're trying to figure out why. And I love this one. I would say, nobody asked you for that, sis. Okay, like, who asked you for that? And so I love how you paid attention to what the customers need. Beer and marshmallows? Like, wait, you cannot yada yada past that. A beer flavored marshmallow? We got to know a little bit more about that.
I started out with, so Great Lakes is a beer company that's here in Cleveland. So I started, and during I think we were getting into the holiday season. So Christmas ale is really big in Cleveland. So I just took the Christmas ale. So the way you make marshmallows is you use water, right? So instead of using the water for my syrup, I just used the beer. So I just poured the beer in there and then just created my marshmallow syrup with it. And it just, so it takes on the taste of the beer. You don't totally burn the alcohol off, but it still does have like that beer flavor. So, it's just something unique and different, because you can go to the grocery store, absolutely, and get flavored marshmallows, but they're going to be artificially flavored, and they're not going to be fresh, and they're not going to be one of these funky, flavors that I've created over the last, I'm 42 flavors in right now. So I've done 42 different flavors of marshmallows, whether it's beer or wine, or everybody was into what's that called? The cinnamon liquor, the Fireball. So I did a Fireball one, or I've done a hurricane. So put during Mardi Gras, I used the different flavors of a hurricane and made a hurricane marshmallow. Then in November, I try to do something that's a little more Thanksgiving, and those are a little bit like questionable, but it's one of those, I get to do whatever I want. So I've done cranberry marshmallows. I did a pumpkin marshmallow where I juiced the pumpkin. I could go on and on and on, but just, so it became like, with the Marshmallow of the Month Club, you can try a different flavored marshmallow every single month. You shouldn't have to expect to get the same one. So that's been the fun part of this, is coming up with all these new flavors of marshmallow that are fresh.
And that part right there, that is so ingenious. So the way the human brain works, we don't like a lot of options. Contrary to what we think, we really don't like a lot of options. It creates confusion and chaos on the brain, right? So as creators, we typically think, in our creative mind, oh, let me give them this, and I'm gonna give them this, and I'm gonna give them this, and I'm gonna give them this. And to be honest with you, you overwhelm the customer, right? So absolutely. When we think about it, it's one of those challenges that we kind of face as innovators, right? We have all of these brilliant ideas, but then you're kind of like, okay, how do I balance that against also knowing that I don't want to overwhelm my customer? And this is what makes your business model so brilliant, is you give them the opportunity to sample. Because let's just be honest, everything that you said, by default, people are kind of like, they want to taste it, because they're like, wait, what? Beer? Hell, like, you just want to taste it right now. You may not want to commit full blown on, but you want to sample these things. You want to taste it. And so to me, this is how two business models immediately come to mind when I think about your business. One, 32 flavors. This is how 32 flavors really kind of got beyond that sort of like chaos in the mind. If you guys remember, they offer samples. It was the one thing you loved. You go into 32 flavors and you're overwhelmed. There's a lot of different options. And they were like, taste it, taste it, taste it. We love that. There are people who actually, come on, y'all. Y'all went to 32 flavors really just to taste all the ice creams. You probably ate a whole scoop of samples, okay, by the time you left. So that was brilliant, because you could actually taste and sample, and then you could actually purchase. So that tasting sample method, when you have a large inventory, is absolutely outstanding. Number two, Jelly Belly. You remind me of like the Jelly Belly of marshmallows. Why? Jelly Belly did something so different with jelly beans. They introduced all of these amazing flavors, and what I love too, sometimes very questionable flavors that you would just be intrigued to taste. So they've had one that's supposed to taste like snot, around Halloween. Right. They get into these like gory good that you're like, what? I don't think I want to taste that. I think they have one that tastes like fart. I'm not sure. But
yeah, that's their buttered
popcorn.
Yeah,
right. Butter popcorn is my favorite. So they have these things that I would have never thought about, like buttered flavored jelly bean. These are things that you never would have thought about, but you see how on the back end they give, so they're so tiny, you can taste them, you can see which ones you like, and then they committed to giving you the box so you could order, you know, that specific one. I think this is absolutely brilliant, from the intentionality of the shipping that you thought about, right, to the innovation of the products, and then the ability to allow the customer to sample and commit. And subscription-based box businesses, or just subscription business models, another gem. This is the future of business. If you guys look around, every single thing almost that you've been purchasing, they are tethering to a subscription model, albeit your vehicle, albeit, you know, your digital services. I'm gonna date myself. I remember when I used to be able to buy Adobe software in a box, and then you owned it. You got the CD and you owned it. Now I have to pay monthly for Adobe. Everyone is moving into a subscription-based business model because it just makes sense. You don't have to go out and spend the marketing dollars to capture, a whole new customer monthly. You're building in recurring income, which is absolutely brilliant. As we all know, it's much easier to keep a customer than it is to get a new customer. So if you've already now convinced someone to onboard to your products or services, why not just give them outstanding service, new products, new ideas, keeping it fresh, and then you get to keep them there longer. So that part I think is absolutely outstanding. Not to mention, I want to ask you, so your business started again. Can you give us the year again? Your business started, the Marshmallow?
2019.
2019. So you started right before COVID.
Absolutely.
You guys know my favorite phrase that I created, pivot or perish. There were so many businesses who actually had to pivot to a mail order, subscription-based or digital version of their business. So how did COVID impact you, your business, when it happened?
Yeah, so I was still part-time within the business when COVID hit. I was teaching, and I remember March 12th, they shut us down and we went home, and the school wasn't really ready for the kids to be, you know, taught at home. So it gave me an opportunity to focus on the business. And then we had Black Lives Matters, and I sell on the Crate Joy marketplace, and Crate Joy was doing their part to highlight Black-owned businesses. So when I left in March, I had about 75 subscribers. And when they started promoting Black-owned businesses, I went from 75 to 250 overnight. And so it really just went from there, you know. So, you know, just being Black-owned was definitely helpful within it. But then I had to offer the customer service, right? I had to make sure that this was an experience, because if you were just being an ally who was purchasing, I still wanted you to come back because it was a good product, right? So, so COVID definitely helped my business. Black Lives Matter movement definitely helped the business as well. And we grew from there.
Now, and then what I love is that you were already ready. You were already where other people had to pivot, and they had to figure out a shipping method. They had to figure out all of these things in the middle. So they had to actually like really pivot their business models. For the most part, you were already there and ready to service the customers instead of having to ideate this out, right? Instead of having to figure that part out of it. So I think that that was absolutely brilliant and timely. And another thing that you also mentioned is how a lot of Black-owned businesses were being aided and allied. So for myself personally, this is why I created the Black Virtual Mall in the midst of COVID, because 41% of Black-owned businesses shuttered during COVID, shuttered during the pandemic. A lot of your mom and pop brick and mortar concepts who were largely used to walk-through traffic, who were used to that in-person persona, you know, that they're used to doing, they didn't have that anymore. And a lot of these businesses were not used to presenting in a digital fashion. So you had businesses that were like, okay, so now I'm competing with where you had the shopping center, maybe, you know, 10, 20 businesses or so in that shopping center. You're on board now with millions and millions of e-commerce platforms. And so what I wanted to do was take that same idea that we know works, which is, what did the malls do? They created walk-through traffic and interest that a lot of peripheral businesses, smaller businesses, benefited from the anchor stores, right? So it placed you in a position to be seen if you didn't know that. And then we also know that with the malls and with the digital commerce platforms, I wanted to give them a personal feel on their brands. So a lot of the multi-vendor marketplaces that we're used to, say something like an Amazon or different vendors, they work really well because they're large, but sometimes that size works against you as an individual because there's a lot of competition. Secondly, sometimes they're very product centric. So when you go onto Amazon, you will see a product more so than a brand, right? And they also tend to remove brand identity. So a lot of times you'll purchase something on Amazon that you love, but you won't remember the store. If someone asks you, where did you get that from? 9 out of 10, Amazon. Not the name of the company. So what I did differently in order to assist Black-owned businesses as well with the mall was provide a niche Black-owned virtual mall. So you knew that it was centric on that. Secondly, we created little small shopping centers. So your graphic user interface, it wasn't just the link and the product, it was a little storefront, just like you would have in the mall, completely branded out with your name, your business, everything that pertains to you, not just product centric. And then secondly, every user, when they click onto your storefront, that transaction takes place on your website. It doesn't take place within the Black virtual mall. So that receipt and everything, it just leads and funnels the traffic to your store. So I love that you're mentioning how these things did not only help you, but you followed through with excellent product, excellent customer service to retain that customer even after the allyship waned, right? So after all the Black squares were removed, you continue to keep those customers because you continued extraordinary and excellent service. So I love that you benefited from it, but you also understood I can't depend on that 100%. I have to also provide excellent service. Because as you guys know, I tell you all the time, don't just shop with me because I'm Black. Shop with me because I offer amazing products and service. That's the most important part. So for that, I'm very, very proud of you. Now, I'd like to also get into what we face as smaller boots on the ground businesses, right? So if you're looking over your business, and this is one of the hardest questions that anyone ever has to address, what would you assess as like your weakness? What would you say, like, these are the areas that I am currently struggling with as a Black-owned business or as a small Black-owned business?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I've had to do this a few times. And there's a couple. Shipping. So we talk about how it's smart to make sure it's under a pound, but shipping is a weakness within an e-commerce business because you don't control the cost of the shipping, right? So if you have a subscription box and someone purchases for a year and they pay for the shipping up front and then the shipping cost goes up, you have to eat that. You know, you can't control it. You can't go back and say, hey, I need more money for the shipping. So that happens to be a weakness. And then during, what was it? I think 2020, the holiday season of 2020, e-commerce businesses were shipping and we couldn't make sure that it got to the customer on time because, you know, UPS was overwhelmed, the post office was overwhelmed. So getting it to the customer on time, I faced a lot of like, I didn't get my product for Christmas, you know, can I get a refund, and how to make sure, you know, you help customers and keep that good experience during that holiday season. So shipping has been a weakness. Not being able to replace myself. So I have decent revenue, but I need to step out of being the person who makes all of the marshmallows and ships all of the marshmallows, and now hire people so that you can grow the business. So as much as being, as much as it is that I'm the strength of the business because of my knowledge and my expertise, I have to actually, I'm also the weakness because I can't be the only one doing everything. So you have to be able to replace yourself when it comes to that. And I would say marketing dollars. I mean, I talked about that a lot. I wanted to learn all of the mistakes that I made. So being able to put, you know, 33% of your revenue into marketing dollars, well, where's that coming from? Do you have access to capital to be able to do a proper marketing campaign? You know, everything I've done so far has been organic or through Create Joy. But if I really wanted to go hard on, you know, ads online, we're talking about 33% of your revenue is what you should use. Well, what the industry standard is that you should use to make sure you can optimize your campaign, because you're going to put it out there, but you know, now we need to make sure that it's going in front of the right person, and A/B testing, and, you know, everything that we talk about, and just being able to make sure that you properly market it. So those have been the three weaknesses of the business right now.
Okay, this is, I mean, what you're talking about is so, I would say, it's such a common issue for businesses, large and small. So the first issue, which I'm going to try to address and see if I can also help, right, really quickly, and see if I can offer a suggestion. So the first issue is what we call fixed costs and variable costs. Okay, so as a business, we have some fixed costs, which are things that this is built and baked into the business. But sometimes our fixed costs, especially what we're pricing out for the customer, they're affected by variables that are outside of our control. So for example, when I managed edible arrangements, we charged $25 for a dozen of chocolate covered strawberries. Well, as you guys know, strawberries are seasonal fruit. So in the summer, they're going to be exceptionally cheap, but in the winter, they're very expensive. And regardless of what natural disaster occurred, which often did, like a flood or whatever, that just accelerated that cost, we still had to charge the same exact amount for that product, right? So there's sort of a balancing act with that, especially when it comes to something seasonal. You sort of anticipate, well, okay, in the summer, you know what I mean? It's going to be, my profit margins are going to be off the chart, but in the winter, they're going to be slim. So you have to kind of like price that out in your mind to find that median and that mode, that financial pricing point to say, okay, I'm going to have to balance that. So that means that you're going to have to adjust your budget accordingly. Now, if you have a little bit of experience in that or some data, what you can do is actually build in that cost. So in other words, if you know that you may be subject to an increase in shipping prices, at shipping costs, especially now, we're seeing the costs go up, whether it's fuel, whether it's the shipping containers that went up, like, I think it was like 100%, you know, for some containers, for some people. You can actually start to price that in into something as simple as, for you, I would say, even if you went up 50 cents or 75 cents per package, 50 to 75 cents, something very small, you guys will be shocked how that would add that little buffer. And then you save that so that in the issue, can't even speak right now, in the occurrence that shipping cost goes way beyond what's normal, you may have that little bit of cushion to help you through that time. So that's one of the things is, unfortunately, I don't want to pass on the cost, but instead of adding that extra like $3 or $4 when it gets really bad, a little 50 cents, just having that would help. So that's that fixed and that variable cost situation. Then you also spoke about marketing, right? So a lot of times when we think about ads, what we fail to understand, especially in the world of running ads online, when you're using a system like, say, Facebook uses what we call machine learning. So we think, I just have a great picture or promo, and I'm just going to run that ad. I'm going to set up my demographics and even my psychographics, right? I'm going to niche this down right into my customer. I'm going to place those in front of a mirror audience or lookalike audience or whatever. We think that it's just magic, but it's not. To be honest with you, sometimes we're not really aware we have a target audience in mind, but we would be shocked at who actually is taking action on our ads. So what machine learning does is it places that ad and uses the audience that you asked for, and then it adjusts for the audience that actually takes action. So it takes Facebook anywhere from 3 to 6 months, and most people are going to say standard 6 months, to really learn what audience is actually taking action and working for you. So you almost have to be running these ads and what we call A/B testing for at least 6 months before you will see any real traction, right? At least 90 days before you'll see any real traction. I was one of those people caught up in that whole boosting thing. You know, like, boost this post, and I'm boosting the post for a weekend. I'm like, I'm not getting any action on this.
Right.
What we're doing is we're delivering to a cold audience. Jewel moment. We have 3 types of audience: cold, warm, and hot. A cold audience is someone who does not know you at all. And then you're showing up on their timeline and you're trying to convert them into a sale. But if you know anything about branding, there's also 3 things that you need to have your customer do in order to convert: know you, like you, trust you. So when you're pitching to a cold audience who does not know you, you're automatically not doing any of these things. They don't know you, they don't even know if they like you, and they don't trust you. A warm audience. This is an audience who's aware of your brand. They know you. They've been following you, may not have purchased from you, may have seen you a few times here or there, but you know, they're kind of getting to know you. They know you, knowing meaning become aware. They know you, right? They kind of like you a little bit, not really sure. And of course, the hot audience. That is your, they know you, they like you, they trust you, they shop with you, they absolutely love you, right? So a lot of times we're going backwards in our attempt to market. We're running out to all of the cold audience and then trying to convert them into warm, trying to convert them into hot. Most people refer to this as a sales funnel. What we want to do actually organically is go backwards. We need to tap into our hot audience. Our hot audience knows us, likes us, and trusts us. They actually are going to have access to our next customer. One of the things that we know is that consumers don't trust companies anymore, and they don't trust ads, but they do trust their friends and their family. So if you have an audience member who loves your product, you know it, they speak about you, they rave about you, they're in a comment section, why not allow them the opportunity to convert to a CSR for you? And that is what we call an affiliate program. So you can offer discounts to your evangelical customers, the ones that know your product and like your product, not everyone. Because you know why? You don't have to really train them. These are people you want to reward. These are your loyal customers that you want to say, hey, you've been rocking with me for years. You've probably been sharing my product. Let's work something out here, right? How about now, instead of you just sharing it because you love it, let's reward you, whether that is a discount on their future subscription services, or it's an actual monetization situation that you give them a rev share. So to me, that would be the easiest method, because now you can dispatch and deploy tons, dozens, of your customers who love your product, and then help them. So you create a little affiliate group and you give them marketing materials, you create a system for them and let them become your salesmen. That's one of the easiest methods to actually convert. So I hope that helps, right?
Oh,
In terms of
oh, I love that. Absolutely.
yes, yes. And it's already a subscription-based service. So adding that in to say, hey, you're already subscription. How about I give you half off on the next 6 months for every like 5 customers, or, you know, whatever that is, whatever you create. And now you're onboarding new customers and they love it, right? So that part, even a holiday, give a gift to a friend. Okay, let's take your box and we'll gift someone, let them be able to sample and taste it, right? So we're going to give someone in your family, here's your Christmas gift on me, you know, something like that. Now, mind you, we're still using dollars because it still costs you. But in my opinion, this is a much more effective use of those dollars to build in that revenue. And it also helps you to create a larger sample pool. So then when you do utilize Facebook marketing, they have so much more data to work with and creating a lookalike audience outside of your normal followers now, right? So now they just have so much more data. So that part I hope can really, really help in terms of some of the things that you're doing, right? So now you talked about some of these flavors. I saw a strawberry. This is the one I want, right? The strawberry, is that strawberry crumble? Was it crumble?
No, it's so we didn't publicly do strawberry cheesecake, but I have done strawberry cheesecake. So we did strawberry lemonade. That was for February. So yeah. So
yes,
and I have a mold, so we made them look like strawberries. So we were able to make them look like strawberries. Yeah.
So yes, okay. So I know everyone is like, wait, she dropped some flavors on us, right? I want to taste this. I want to sample this. I want to taste this. Can you please let us know, one, where we can access all of these delicious and amazing flavors? And we want to know more about you, what you have going on, what you're doing, what other areas you're expanding into. So if you can, please share that with us.
Absolutely. Ooh, did that go up? So our next flavor is going to be peach ginger, and that's for the month of July. So you'll be able to purchase this on cratejoy.com, or you can go to our website, marshmallowthemonthclub.com, and that'll take you over to Cratejoy to be able to purchase that subscription box. And in August, that's our anniversary. So we always offer the same flavor on our anniversary month, and that's a vanilla brandy marshmallow, because we do a traditional s'more. Well, we do add the brandy to it. So it's a vanilla brandy marshmallow that'll be in August. And if you want to wait for something extra fun, September will be peanut butter and jelly. So that's always a fun one to do too, where we do one peanut butter marshmallow and one jelly marshmallow. And I found an awesome mold that looks like a sandwich. And so that you can make it into, you know, it'll look like a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich when it comes to the graham crackers. So we've been doing that for the month of September. So you can also purchase our cocoa at Joycraft Cocoa. It's available on Amazon right now, or our website. You can go to Joycraft Cocoa to purchase that. And this is what the subscription box looks like. It'll come to you directly, and it's made, you'll get fresh pared graham crackers, some cocoa, and marshmallows. And this Saturday, well, I don't know if we'll be there in time, but this Saturday we're doing a live demo here in Cleveland. Tri-C does a jazz festival, and we'll be doing a demo to show you how to make marshmallows from scratch.
Oh my goodness. Like, and you know what? And so for my daughter, I think that too, one of the things that really like repopularized marshmallows, in my opinion, right? Because as kids, like, we loved our marshmallows, you know, we got into the s'mores and everything like that. But the Rice Krispie treats DIY, oh my goodness, like my daughter Bree, she was just in the house Rice Krispie treating it out, you know what I mean? Like, she got the regular Rice Krispies and the cocoa Rice Krispies, and then she was doing the Fruity Pebbles and, you know, all of this, but with the standard marshmallows. And that's what I love too, is that, you know, with your flavored marshmallows, I can't wait for her to take some of those amazing marshmallows and, you know, make her little Rice Krispie treats that she absolutely loves, right? I love that it comes with your own cocoa. Like, this is a whole DIY. You are ready to go with the marshmallow, with the s'mores. You are absolutely ready to go. That is just, I love it. I absolutely love it. I can even see, like, you know how a lot of people are into, what do you call it? Oh my God, why can't I think about it right now? It's like when we take the little cheese and the chocolate.
Oh, the charcuterie boards? Yeah.
No, not the charcuterie boards.
Mm-hmm.
The others where the cheese is melted or the chocolate is melted.
Fondue?
Fondue. Like, I can really see this as an elevated sort of like a fondue, you know, with your gourmet. I would love that with some of the sample marshmallows and just kind of like dip them in there. I could just imagine that. I would just love that. I think that would be absolutely amazing, especially around Christmas time, you know, with the eggnog and the brandy and all the other little flavors. I think that would be absolutely exquisite. So that part I'm really excited for, to think when she dabbles, because she's going to make the Rice Krispie treats for me, and then I will report back to you how amazing they are. So now, for all of you guys who are interested, like she said, you can definitely follow her on marshmallowthemonthclub.com on the website, which you guys have all the information down there on the banner. But I also want to let you know, this was not told to her in advance, people. You are getting a storefront in the Black Virtual Mall.
Wow.
We're going to place you in the Black Virtual Mall for free for 90 days. And after that, you will get half off lifetime membership in the Black Virtual Mall. We are building out our drum circle floor for all of the drum circle interviewees that have a business that actually fits and we think would be a great fit for our Black Virtual Mall family. And so I would like for you to know that the marshmallowofthemonthclub.com will be actually installed into the Black Virtual Mall as well.
So I'm definitely holding back the tears from that one. It's been on my list forever. I've been following you forever. I've seen the Black Virtual Mall. It's been on my to-do list, and I'm overwhelmed, and I appreciate that so much.
You are so very welcome. And I thank you for just offering, like I said, something that's just innovative, something that's just not common, something that's exciting, something that's just unique, you know, something that we just don't see every day. And I thank you for offering me the opportunity to literally help others be inspired to do the same that you're doing and to amplify your business, as well as drop a few jewels in as always. So in parting, I thank you so very much. And if there's any final words, the floor is yours.
Oh, I don't know any final words. I'm so thankful. I appreciate you so much. I've been following your journey just, you know, for such a long time, and all the information that you give out. One thing I appreciate about you so much is that, like, your information is generally free, that, you know, just the starter information. And you said something a few months ago, I was watching one of your lives, and you were talking about having a multi-use product. And you don't know how much that has shifted my business so much when it comes to this cocoa, because I started looking at the cocoa, how can you use this as a multi-use product? So I said, it's not just a cup of hot cocoa, you can bake with it, and I have recipes for baking with it. You can add it to your coffee to make it a mocha. You can whip it up for a dessert, add it to your smoothie, or you can make it into a frozen dessert. And I appreciate you so much for, like, that. I mean, it was so simple and so profound, and made a huge difference within how I promote my business.
That is, oh my God, that is absolutely awesome. Thank you. And you know, these are things that I've tried to help and, impart into people, and especially in terms of strategy right now, right? Because our businesses tend to be the most vulnerable when we're looking at an economic downturn. For those of you who don't know, I've cautioned my beloved Black business owners that we're very vulnerable right now. Why? Because we tend to have products that are usually overpriced, not because we're greedy, but we tend to not be able to buy in bulk. So we don't have the room within our profit margins to lower that price. So we typically pass that on to the customer. We suffer a lot of risk, a lot of startup costs that we're trying to recoup sometimes, a lot of these financial investments that are usually our own money, our own investments. So one, our products tend to cost more. Secondly, they're usually non-essential. Not because we don't understand the aspect of that, but because we, in this country, we came into the market very late. We came into the market beyond where utilities were building water and roads and transportation and phone and, all of the core essentials, right? And then by the time we did start to participate in the market, we're really having to go after the low-hanging fruit, which are things that are, more discretionary that people don't necessarily need. And then thirdly, our customers also have the least disposable income. So that means now we're usually servicing products, or providing products that are overpriced, not needed, to people who don't have a lot of disposable income. And that places us uniquely in a position of vulnerability. And so the advice that I was giving on the live was, how can you reposition your product? And in that, take your product, and instead of it being that one product, show the multi-use in that, right? So if you have a soap, you would want to show that it's multi-use. It can be used as a shampoo bar. It can be used for detergent. It can be used to clean surfaces. So that customer, when they're purchasing that, they're seeing 4 different products that they're purchasing. So now they're like, I'm saving money and being more efficient. So I love that you literally took that information and you applied it to something that most people would never have the imagination for. Like, okay, it's cocoa. What can we really do with cocoa, sis? Like, how many different, and you just said, let me show you all these different ways. And you know what else I love? You said, I'm not even going to just leave it to your imagination. Here's a recipe. That's the part right there that I love, because now from there, what do you get to create? A digital product, right? So now you can expand that into a recipe book that's complementary to your product, a recipe book that is now what we call a loss leader, right? That you actually give to invite them in now to say, here's the cocoa to sample with that. Absolutely brilliant and taking action. I'm so proud. I didn't know this, you guys. Like, I'm hearing this for the first time. So I'm holding back tears now because, I give information with no expectations. No one asks me to show up, right? No one asks me, no one owes me anything. I just give it, and I hope that it lands, and I hope that it's impactful, and I hope that it's effective. So thank you for literally confirming to me that, yes, someone's listening and they're applying, and it actually is making a difference. So I'm gonna hold back the tears now. Oh my God. Thank you so very much. I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored, and I cannot wait to taste it, let you know, and then see you in the Black Virtual Mall. So thank you so much for being on the Drum Circle Show, and we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.